Hello, my beautiful friends and fellow seekers. Are you ready for a full moon that has all the ingredients of courage, curiosity, feeling adventurous in the life that we are living, getting that creative spark moving through us, invigorating a sense of just curiosity about what is next? I think this full moon very much mirrors something that I've talked about for many years, which is the unimaginable horizon, which is all about those friendships and those experiences and those flavors that we can't even imagine from where we are sitting now. We might have our vision board or our list of things that are that we want to like manifest, but we still don't even know the beautiful people that are going to come through our lives, the beautiful moments, the beautiful visions that we are going to have. This full moon really activates that. It also activates something that I think is so important, which is listening to the ingredients we already have within ourselves. Those nudges and those impulses that maybe we don't take the time to really hear, or that because they've been kind of trying to get our attention for a few years, they just kind of seem like the normal in the background thing that we can kind of ignore. This full moon is going to get us back in touch with our heart, hearing and listening to what it is that is waiting to be heard within us, that's already sitting within us. So it's activating both parts of this equation, the one that is about what is already waiting within us, what has been kind of calling for some attention, maybe that we haven't been taking seriously in ourselves, and also the stuff that we can't quite imagine from this vantage point. And both of these elements of this Leo full moon, I just want to say this before we get into any of the aspects or any of that, is you're going to want to get relaxed enough to get curious. Because if we get all amped up, we're like, okay, this is the one fiery, creative element of the February month, because we're working with a lot of earth, water, and air in February. So this full moon's like our moment with fire energy. And so I'm going to make it this really high speed, intense full moon. We're just going to put that to the side because we want to get relaxed enough to get curious. And we have to be in a relaxed space physically and mentally in order to really access our most curious thoughts and ideas and to really hear our heart speak. But let's get into some of the aspects, and we'll come back around to the major note that I have for this full moon. So full moon is happening in Leo on February 16th. This is our first full moon of this new lunar year, and it's the moon at 27 degrees of Leo, opposing the sun at 27 degrees of Aquarius, making that gorgeous full moon. This full moon is just swathed in conversations around it that are waking it up. So this full moon's happening at the same time that Venus and Mars are having their annual meetup, and Venus and Mars are conjunct at 16 degrees of Capricorn. And when Venus and Mars meet up and come together, this is such a creative moment, right? These are the two lovers. And when they come together, this is all about the creative flow. This is all about what comes up and out of that meeting. This can spark a lot of new ideas. This can be a time where new creative ventures or concepts are putting two things that feel disparate together and seeing what comes of it. This is the kind of energy that a Venus and Mars meetup works with. This is also a Venus meetup with Mars after her retrograde, and she's in post shadow until March 1st. And so during this time too, during this full moon, even though we're working with Leonine energy, the Venus Mars meetup here is also going to be wrapping up whatever we've been learning, I think, and helping us to move forward with whatever we learned during Venus retrograde in December and January. And so there's a really nice kind of background theme going on with this full moon when it comes to Venus and Mars. We also have Jupiter at 10 degrees of Pisces sextiling Uranus at 11 degrees of Taurus. And this sextile is so creative. Jupiter in Pisces is all about reconnecting to the bigger collective connective tissue and energy of this world. And it is a very bounteous, beautiful energy. I love Jupiter in Pisces. And as it's sextiling with Uranus in Taurus, which is all about new ideas, fresh invention. This is such a great place to get into a creative mindset, which means allowing for new ideas to flow in. And all of this energy works so well with this Leo full moon, because Leo, I'm a little biased. I'll just put it out there right now, because aren't we all have our things that we enjoy. I happen to have a lot of Leo energy, and I'm a Leo sun. So Leo is an energy that I obviously have a lot of love for. A lot of appreciation is something that means a lot to me personally. So I love this energy. This is the sign of the heart and childlike joy and creativity. This is also the sign of leadership and being yourself and like sharing yourself with the world. And a lot of times Leo gets picked on for being over the top, attention seeking, or too obsessed with power. And those are the shadow sides of Leo. But the core of Leo is a real true sense of love and adventure and play in the universe and shining bright. And I mentioned in the overarching February reading that shining bright is going to look different for each of us. We're each going to have our own definition of what that is. It doesn't always mean we have to be singing on stage or be literally, the president of a company. Shining bright to me can mean being quietly creative in our own space. It can mean being a community organizer. It can mean doing your art with a couple of other friends. It can be being really good at something very practical that helps a lot of people. There's so many ways to shine bright. But the Leo full moon is always going to be illuminating in us the parts of ourselves that want to step forward, want to be seen, want to be activated. And maybe it takes a little bit of courage to sometimes share these parts of ourselves with the world and beyond maybe where we've let ourselves share it before. And that brings me to the key note of this full moon. We have all this really symbiotic energy working together, really great sextiles and conjunctions, and this illumination of energy that is about creativity and just being yourself, because this is the end of Aquarius season after all when this full moon happens. But what I wanted to say about this is that this full moon is not asking us to fix ourselves or to be like, okay, I'm going to shine bright, so I'm going to be different than who I am, and I'm going to new year, new you it kind of style, doing that thing. This full moon is about hearing what wants to be heard inside of yourself. If there's that thing that's just been calling to you to, pick up that pair of ice skates because you skated 20 years ago and you wish that you could skate again, but you haven't taken it seriously because it feels frivolous, or you feel like you're too old to do it, or it's past the time. This is the kind of information that wants to be heard. And so this is a really, really important full moon to listen to any of those parts of yourself that have a dream, have a vision, or even have just something fun, just a hobby that you want to do that you haven't let yourself do because you don't feel worthy of it. You don't feel worthy of starting or beginning. You don't feel like it's an authentic thing to want to just get good at a way of expressing yourself again, even if you know that it's something you don't want to make money on or impress other people with. This full moon is going to ask you to get really, really clear and hear those parts of yourself, because there's something important going on there. And we may not understand how those little ingredients, right, like the ice skating and the novel writing and the wanting to volunteer at a place and the wanting to, change up and get rid of stuff, whatever the impulses are. We may not know exactly how that's going to fit into the larger scheme. But if we don't listen to all these nudges and these things that are already shining within us and wanting to be heard from the heart space, we're kind of denying our natural expression. And I think that's the thing with Leo energy, actually. When it's working in its healthiest form, it's natural expression. It's about just being really relaxed in who you are. The way that children are when they're playing outside, they're not thinking about how they look to other people. They're not thinking about how their playing outside is going to affect the rest of their career or who they're going to be at 5 p.m. when they go home at the end of the day. It's about allowing ourselves to express ourselves very naturally and follow the things that feel good and warm. And I think it's so easy to overlook the things that feel good and warm because they're so innate to us. They're so natural to us that we don't take the time to notice that they're there waiting, right? Because we have a bias in our human brain in the way that we develop as biological beings. We're always looking for the threats and for the things that are kind of out of place to keep ourselves safe. So it takes a little practice to hear the parts of ourselves that want to be heard, that are about the safety and the good feeling. And one thing I want to just say, I'm going to start shuffling the cards because it's that time, is just that in order to hear this gut feeling and to develop that self-trust and to allow yourself to hear what wants to come out, which is already waiting within you, we want to get relaxed. And a card just like flew across the floor. Two of Swords, our good friend Two of Swords. And this is actually so perfect. I love that it came. Let's pull one more. I like to do 2 cards. You want to get relaxed and just listen in to what those creative impulses are and just follow them. And the worlds. All right. I love this. This is it. This is it. We got it. Okay. What a pair. Okay. So 2 of Swords. This card to me is all about the type of listening I was just telling you about, right? Where we sit still and we listen in. So rather than running around, wielding the swords, making everything happen, being in over-functioning mode or trying to solve it all, we sit down, we listen to our intuition, we stop trying to look beyond ourselves and outside of ourselves into everything else around us, and we hear inside. That's always what 2 of Swords is trying to get us to do, right? Because often when we're doing a reading or one-on-one clients, this is about being unable to make a decision, feeling stuck. But here's the thing, this card is really about hearing what wants to be heard so that this decision and the steps that want to be made can happen. So that's what 2 of Swords is all about. Now, the World is a graduation card. And like I said, I feel like this full moon in many ways, it's helping us wrap up what we were learning during December and January with the Venus retrograde, also with the shift of the North Node into Taurus, another fixed sign, what we are learning as Jupiter moves through Pisces. This is a full moon. This is the first full moon of the lunar year. And so this is a really great skin shedding graduation time. This is about embracing where we're headed next and getting visionary about it. And that's the unimaginable horizon part where we also want to relax to hear what's wanting to come in. So there's a twofold process going on here. And I think it's kind of illusion that it's twofold because it's actually all one thing. But hearing the ingredients in our heart, because this is a heart-based moon. This is about the heart. This is about this very powerful organ in our bodies and the energy of the heart. And that is all about self-trust. It's all about following that North Star, following that call that's like in us, just natally in us, as well as hearing what is pulling us forward, what is calling to us from outside. And I often find the things that are really right for us, it's like you can feel both. You can feel that the call is coming from inside the house. You can also feel that the call is coming from all the ingredients around you. And here's the final note I want to say, especially with the World. This is the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. It is a full moon after all, so it is about release as well. What was I going to say? Oh my God, I forgot the brilliant thing I was going to say about, this is what I was going to say. An important thing about this full moon. Don't be afraid and feel of starting something new or beginning. You are worthy of beginning. You are allowed to begin. You are allowed to explore what it means to begin. Even if it's a skill or an idea that you feel like you have no authority on, you don't feel like you're allowed to begin it. I want you during this full moon to give yourself just enough space to say, maybe it's okay that I pursue something. Not because it's going to give me the perfect career, not because it's going to solidify my standing in the community, not because I'm going to impress everybody around me, but because it's something that is calling to me. You're so allowed to follow those trails that are waiting inside of you. And this moon is going to be giving us lots of nudges in those directions. So let yourself open that door just a little bit and see what wants to flow out. This is such a fun moon. I'm going to be doing a really fun activation over on Patreon for those of you who are looking for a little bit of fun and community. I'd love to see you over there. We are doing all of our weekly chats, all of our activations, all of our worksheets. It's a really, really great space. I'd love to see you there. And you can also find me on my Instagram. There's only one true Sarah Vrba, so I'll leave my handle so you know where to find me there. And you can find me on my email and my website. So I'll leave all the good links below. I hope you all have a beautiful Leo full moon. I'd love to see you around here again soon. And yeah, we'll be back again very soon for the Pisces new moon. Talk to you then.